Hello, everybody. I'm J. Marcelo Vaquero Alvarez, and this is the I Told You podcast, brought to you by Half-Life Crisis and Info in Context, which are also mine. I created those resources for you to understand what's going on around the world, because apparently the mainstream media and a lot of the independent media are being derelict on that. So this is not a place for snowflakes. So if you're on the right or the left side of the spectrum and something affects you and you cannot cope with reality, well, this is probably going to hurt your feelings. But as I say in my previous articles and in my previous episodes, it doesn't matter what your feelings are. The situations are going to be hitting you just the same way. The difference that I am actually going to tell you what is going on, and I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that is what nobody else is actually telling you, at least not in the same way that I am. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about the media and politicians betray your gullibility. This is not a question, it's a statement. Yes, the media is betraying your gullibility, and so is the group of politicians that you seem to adore. So let's talk a little bit about that. All right, by now, so if you've been looking at the rest of the episodes, there's been 8 up to this point. I am unapologetic because I'm telling you what everybody else is hiding from you. And like it or not, each episode actually builds onto the next. The thing is that if I put everything in just one small episode or one very long one, this context is not going to be helping you understand what is going on. Okay, so each one builds onto the next one. That's why I give them a sequence number, so it is easy for you to see what I'm actually trying to tell you and how it actually works into the greater scheme of things. There is a method to my madness. And I know that some of you are going to get mad at me, and you can get mad all you want about my style or if I'm cursing, or well, it's too bad, you know. The fact is that it is the podcast that I chose to do it this way because that is the way that I created it. If you want to start your own, you can always do that as long as you are being factual. The problem is that the media has been proven highly ineffective against authoritarianism. And apparently cursing is actually giving me a lot more views and is giving me a lot more attention, not just in YouTube, but in all the other platforms. So, okay, apparently that is working somehow. Not necessarily that I wanted to do that, but I want to make sure that this message is resonating to save you, to give you a little bit of life here. Yeah, let's turn this guy over here. So what I'm telling you, something you don't know yet, and like it or not, if you want to tune out and you don't want to listen to it, guess what? It's going to affect you anyway. It's going to be hitting you. It's like a storm that is brewing. You can look away from it and ignore it, and then the storm is going to be coming upon you. So either you're going to be ready for that storm, or you're going to be taken hostage by whatever aftermath that is going to be hitting you, depending on how severe the storm is. And this storm is going to be like, it's going to be unlike anything you've ever seen before. And I wish I was hyperbolic. So it is important for you to understand, okay, what we're actually talking. This episode might actually go a little bit longer, but it is about introspection. Because like it or not, authoritarianism is growing around the world. And since that involves you and me, I'm speaking out. This is a team effort. Even if nobody listens to this, and if there's a small audience, which probably it is going to be until the moment that it really matters for people to listen, it's probably going to be after the fact when it starts growing. At least I know that I've spoken before the things were happening. I don't want to be this Monday quarterback to say, well, I should have seen this and this and this and that, and hindsight's 2020. No. You have to be able to be ready before something bad happens. And that's actually what I'm doing here. That's what I'm offering. So we'll see how time is going to be looking at my words. But, well, in the meantime, you should be mad, though, that there's a huge possibility that the media personality and the politicians that you love and worship, they're actually laughing at your face. Let me tell you that again. A lot of the people that you admire and you think that they are phenomenal, particularly in the political stage, they're laughing at you. They don't respect you. They don't even give a shit about you. As long as they get their vote, or as long as they get their views, or they get the clicks, they couldn't give a shit about you. And that's the reality. That's not necessarily true for every personality that has a camera out there, but largely at some point, you're just going to become a number for them. And it's not like you're going to be really hurt. They're going to be reading your messages. They're not going to be reading your comments. They're not going to be answering, even if you have something to say. I know. I've been there. I send something and I tag the person, and do I hear from them? Psh, crickets. And it's probably going to be something that is actually trying to help them. Well, everything that I actually tell them is something that it's for them to be ahead of the game. And then, of course, they react after the fact. Well, I'm so surprised about this thing that Trump did, or I'm so surprised that this thing that MAGA did. I'm so surprised that this media personality did this and that. After I was telling them that that is exactly what was going to happen. So, it becomes a self-inflicted wound. And a lot of times they don't really realize that they are their own worst enemies. But the problem is that if you have been proven naive, they're going to be exploiting the crap out of you. So it's going to start with your attention, trying to get your attention. Then they're going to try to get your money. Then there's always going to be a little bit more. It's never going to be enough. And again, I'm just talking about this, about particularly unscrupulous media people and unscrupulous politicians, which they tend to work in tandem. And you actually would be able to see that because let's say if you have a media personality that all of a sudden is having a cabinet position, how the fuck do you think that happened? Well, it's because they're in the same bed. And if you didn't realize that, well, then you're too really fucking naive. Hence, you're being exploited. So, however, the second that you become inconvenient to any person, even the most loyal follower, the moment that they become inconvenient, you're going to become essentially a nuisance for them. They're going to want to get rid of you. They're going to run away from you. They're going to disavow you. And you're going to see that. We've seen that in the previous Trump administration a whole lot of times. Talk about any of the people who were highly celebrated, like, for example, General Mattis as Secretary of Defense. The moment that Mattis did correctly what he was supposed to be doing as Secretary of Defense and put some safeguards, say, hey, boss, that is not what we do. And this is my cabinet position. This is my duty to tell you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. What did Trump do? Well, he started a smear campaign. And a lot of people who actually rightfully admire Mattis, they all of a sudden became pretty much their most ardent foes and enemies, regardless the fact that he was actually doing what he was supposed to be doing in the position of power. So how do you avoid this? Okay, so the first thing, you need to be looking at yourself in the mirror. And by looking at yourself in the mirror, you really need to understand what are you doing and what is the reality that affects you as a person. What are your circumstances? Are you poor? Are you rich? Do you want more money? Do you don't have enough money? Do you blame somebody else for the circumstances that you're in? Did you get in trouble? And do you feel entitled to have a lot of power over another person, being your kids or being somebody else that is under your payroll or whatever, the case? You have to look at yourself before to understand where there might be a bias that it's going to be exploited. So if you do have a low self-esteem, or do you have any hang-ups, or do you see any vulnerabilities in yourself, right? That you don't like the way that you look, or you see some lines in your face, or you see that you are too fat or too short or too tall or too skinny or too angry or too whatever, is your vulnerability that you see. The adversary already saw that. That and all the vulnerabilities that you didn't realize that you have upon your persona, they already saw them. They already have a plan of action of how they're going to exploit those. And if you are the kind of person who thinks that you do not see any vulnerabilities in yourself, then they are already seeing that as well as a vulnerability. Yes. So if you don't think that you have any vulnerabilities, you are the most vulnerable of them all. Actually, you are the perfect vehicle for exploitation. You're probably going to become the muscle. You're probably going to becoming the cynical, mindless idiot that they're just going to give them some taskings to do, no matter how bad they are. And if you go down with the ship and you do something stupid that is either criminal or is either going to get you in trouble or is a misdemeanor or whatever, the problematic thing that's going to happen, you're going down with the ship alone. And they're going to tie your feet with fucking leather shoes so you sink fucking faster. That is what happens, okay? They don't care about you. And if you think that because you are a trigger happy motherfucker that you're super macho and that you're all masculine and shit, yeah, they are going to have you by the balls so fucking fast you don't even fucking realize. It is actually kind of comical because that is what is being bred right now into the rest of the world, trying to make these men more manly, while they're actually forgetting that true fortitude of character is if you can own up to your mistakes. We're going to be talking a little bit about that, but I want to plant that seed a little bit into that. So if you have a parent or if you have a figure that is actually acting like they are super fucking macho and that they are like the strongest person in the fucking world and that they can just fight their way out of any problem, well, they're vulnerable. They are highly exploitable because they are very insecure and they just haven't probably even realized it, or they're trying to hide it, or they know that they're very insecure and they want to overcompensate for that insecurity. And that actually is going to happen. Okay. So the propagandists are already going to know if you have those vulnerabilities. That is the truth. They're going to see it. Either if you have virtues or if you have vulnerabilities, they're going to have a plan of action of how to attack those. It doesn't matter what you think your vulnerabilities. If it exists, they already know what it is and they know how to exploit it. Yes, I'm repeating some of these things a few times because I really want you to understand that nobody's perfect. Everybody has vulnerabilities. We all could become exploitable in one way or the other. It depends how you're actually always staying ahead of the curve, how you're actually paying attention to the changes and making sure that you can also hold the people that you admire accountable. It doesn't matter how much you love them. You have to hold them accountable. So how to defeat them? Well, it's surprisingly an easy concept, but it is very hard on execution. And it's own up to your own idiosyncrasies and improve upon them. So if you make a mistake, fix it. That's what it means. Yeah, just make a mistake. Okay, do something. Okay. As I said before, it takes a lot more courage to admit you made a mistake and own up to it and rectify it than to double down and triple down. Actually, whenever you make a mistake and you double down and you triple down and you're just like trying to be this macho personality or whatever, like alpha type that is on your face, trying to say that, no, you are wrong, regardless of the facts, then you're weak. That's a sign of weakness and it's highly exploitable. And that's the other point, is because people don't realize that if you win by cheating, you haven't won. You de facto lost. If you won by cheating, you've lost. It doesn't matter what scoreboard says, because that's the problem with people who are insecure. Even if they have all kinds of trophies and all kinds of ribbons and all kinds of fucking accolades, if they're not real, they're never going to be happy. And the reason why they're never going to be happy is because they know that they didn't earn them. You can pin, all kinds of fucking medals on your chest, and if you didn't earn them, they don't mean shit. And you know that. You just don't want to impress somebody else. You want to impress yourself. You want somebody else to probably believe that you've accomplished something. But if you haven't accomplished it, then it doesn't matter, because it was all make-believe. That's why you see a lot of those, it almost looks cartoonish, all those dictators that they put themselves all kinds of medals, and they fill their chest with all kinds of fucking big, shiny fucking things. And so everybody goes like, ooh, wow, look at all those medals. Yeah, what they don't tell is that they fucking award all that shit to themselves. They just create all these fucking accolades. So essentially they're fucking like kissing their own ass, which is really fucking sad when you think about that. But it is not unlike a person who, let's leave this person unnamed, buys a whole fucking social media platform, and even if you don't follow them, they still force shit into your fucking timeline. So even if you don't fucking react to that, you still have to be looking at that. That is a sign of fucking insecurity. That's a huge fucking sign of insecurity. Now, of course, it becomes a numbers name. It's going to seem enticing for some people. But that is what I'm talking about. It's not even earned. It's essentially you just impose yourself into something. So the way to move forward, as I say, it's first you need to address what you have fucked up. If you fucked up something, yeah, address it. You have to see it. It's probably going to suck. You're probably going to be fucking mad at yourself for that. But then you move on from there. So it is, like I said, in a previous example, in one of my other episodes, if you have a car and it gets damaged for some reason, then you have to address the problem before you fucking drive that fucking car, okay? It's probably going to be very different depending on what type of damage you have. So let's say that your radio goes off, okay, and it breaks down and now your fucking speakers don't work. Well, you can still safely operate that vehicle, even though it's probably going to be annoying that now you don't fucking have a radio or something, to listen while you're actually driving around, okay? Different than if your fucking tires are flat, okay? So now you probably need to either change the tire or get to fix that because you cannot safely operate the vehicle with that. Or it's probably going to be a little bit more catastrophic. It's, if, let's say your brakes are fucking worn out and now you cannot stop the fucking car. You're going to create an accident not just for yourself, but for somebody else who had nothing to do with your incompetence. So those are the things that we're talking about. When you don't actually rectify something that needs to be fixed, whenever it needs to get fixed, it's going to schedule itself. And it's going to schedule itself in the worst possible way. Just like the example that I gave you. Okay, you don't fix your brakes and you're driving around and then you try to stop the car and now you fucking hit somebody else's car as well. Okay, so those are the different things that you need to start thinking. Okay, so your actions could very well affect somebody else. And that's why I'm creating this entire podcast series to teach you to think not just about yourself, but to think about somebody else, because your actions affect somebody else who really doesn't fucking even know you and doesn't even probably wants to know you, but you could be fucking up their lives. And vice versa. They could be fucking up their lives because they are misinformed. So just like those malfunctions that might linger while you are having some type of problems, they're going to schedule themselves eventually. So, for example, if you don't set safeguards right now for the USA before this next administration comes into power, while they're having all these incredibly dangerous choices for these cabinet positions, if you don't speak now, because it is so fucking overwhelming, I don't want to say, okay, I'm just going to close my eyes. I don't want to be paying attention to this thing. Hopefully somebody's going to be else paying attention to this thing. Well, guess what? Nobody's fucking paying attention. And you are going to be swept under this storm regardless of whether you paid attention or not. So what are you supposed to be doing? Before something goes wrong, you have to be making those preparations. That is why I'm actually fucking doing with this goddamn podcast, even though it's probably going to be just a time capsule and people are going to say like, well, shit, I probably would have to hear this type of information before. Well, the reality is that a lot of people needed to hear this information before they fucking voted. And of course, I wrote a whole fucking bunch of articles and even a couple of books about that. But yeah, did that actually take as much bandwidth as it should have been? No, a lot of other fucking people speaking about stupid shit, those are the ones that got all kinds of fucking other bandwidth. Particularly people speaking about stupid things that they had nothing to do with what was going to affect the rest of their life. And yes, that was by design because they want to make sure that you are distracted. Because if you are distracted, by definition, you're not paying attention. Does that make sense? Okay, hopefully it's making sense. So with propaganda, it's very similar. Personalities are biting for your attention and they will look at what resonates with you in some sort of flashy way. Okay, so either, they're going to have some high level graphics, like in certain TV channels with Chiron that is going to have like something that is going to be very provocative and there's going to be all kinds of shit and they're going to have like pretty faces and nice lighting, whatever the fuck it is. So you can go like, ooh, that looks fucking legit. And you're going to start paying attention to that as though it is reality. But then you're not really understanding about the content. Some other people, they don't like probably the flashiness and they just might want to fucking read like a little pamphlet or they just might want to have, their own little lifestyle in the rural area where they don't fucking have like high-speed internet and they don't care about what those people in the big cities are doing. So that they're just going to be listening to whatever type of information is in their AM radio or maybe what is the information that is being mailed to them. So they're just like fucking reading to a little paper that is the communal thing that the church gives them or their community is preparing for them. And that is all the level of information that they get. Now, the question is, where do they source that information? Where did they get that information? Is that even good information? Is bad information? Now, the thing is that exploitation is going to be very personalized depending to the community that you're putting, but there's always going to be a certain common denominator to actually push in a particular way. This is nothing new. This is new kind of to the United States, in the great scheme of things, because a lot of the safeguards have been eroded or the country has become in a fucking essentially reality show for several years. But this is very well known around the world. The problem is that a lot of the people in America, they don't give a shit about the rest of the world. They cannot even fucking point a whole bunch of those maps that went under on a fucking map. And that is the reality. But the problem is that even if you're an introverted person who just wants to keep to yourselves, the media personalities are perhaps going to be feeling like your best friends. Okay, you're going to be seeing this person that is on the TV screen or on your phone whenever you're taking a shit, and you're just then paying attention to the world. You might trust them for whatever reason. Maybe you like their style. Maybe you like what they have to say. Maybe they're owning the libs, or they're owning the rhinos, or they're owning the Democrats, or they're owning the fucking MAGA, or they're owning whoever the fuck, the other group is supposed to be owned. And guess what? Sometimes the very same people who are actually placating against yourself, they're going to be playing favors for the opposition team. Okay, I know it's going to be something counterintuitive. Okay, why am I playing for the opposition team? It is because it actually creates that division. It's because it hijacks your mind. It creates, they are the bad guys and they are doing something. Okay, what's going on? It creates that confusion. It starts, like creating this level of cognitive dissonance. They say, well, I don't really know what I need to be thinking about. At some point, Fox News is telling me that they are really fair and balanced, and then all of a sudden they are saying something that contradicts me, and now I'm going to be really mad. And this is a reality. For example, have you remember certain periods of time when Trump was attacking Fox News? Yeah, that happened a few times, and then Trump was giving acolytes to Fox News whenever they're playing ball. But then again, Fox News also had to pay a lot of fucking money. We're talking many, many, many millions of dollars whenever they were saying that the last election was stolen. And now that Trump has won, the election interference gone. Oh, that was not happening. Despite the fact that Trump actually ran on a campaign saying that the election was going to be stolen. So, was it stolen? Was not stolen in 2020? It wasn't. But now that he won, then it doesn't matter. Don't look at this thing. Okay, we don't talk about that anymore. Yeah, that means that they're laughing at your face. Okay, that's exactly what it happens. Yeah, if you were fucking mad back then, you probably fucking went to the Capitol and probably got arrested for that shit, or you thought that those guys actually breaking into the hall of Congress were doing the right thing back then. But now, if that would have happened with the Democrats doing the same thing, you would have a fit. Well, then somebody's fucking taking you for a ride. They think that you're fucking stupid, and they're probably validating the shit. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. So the problem is that the media personalities, even a lot of the independent media, they don't know who the fuck you are. Or even, they might not even if they want to know who you are, mathematically it's not going to happen. So, and some of them, in reality, even certain small time personalities, they get so fucking full of themselves that they don't even appreciate that anymore. It's like they're just going to be looking at the analytics, say, okay, how many fucking likes, how many fucking that over there? Oh, there's fucking a fewer likes. Oh yeah, let me kind of pander a little bit on that. Let me tell you, get like and subscribe. But do they really actually want that because they love you? Well, hopefully they appreciate you. But are they going to be able to even answer to everybody? Well, mathematically, that's not going to be possible. If they have like a couple of million subscribers, even if you fucking try to answer to every person one at a time, it's still mathematically not going to be able to happen. It is what it is. And the problem is that then also there's going to be a whole bunch of comments that they're not going to be able to read, even though there's going to be important information. And they get flooded with emails, and they get flooded with all kinds of other things that are just essentially spam. So instead of actually properly filtering that overload of information, they're just going to ignore it. That essentially is what happens. So they're probably never going to hear about each other. And that is a flaw from the left, because a lot of the wisdom that they ignore was outside the same fucking faces that they just keep recycling over and over again. And that was to be expected, but that's what we saw. So the politicians are going to be very similar in a way, but they also have another layers because they need this re-election money. In case you didn't know how it actually works in the USA, as soon as a politician gets in power, they have to start campaigning if they're going to maintain their office to get reelected, in particular in Congress. Okay, so that's kind of how it goes. You even saw that with fucking Trump in the first term. He didn't fucking just started his term; he was already fucking doing rallies all over the place. Under the fucking U.S. Says dime, by the way, because flying fucking Air Force Ones is not fucking cheap, and it's paid by the fucking taxpayers. Millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that instead of actually going to programs to save fucking people, they were being paid for him to go in Air Force One with the entire entourage to go fucking play golf all the fucking times that he was doing. So yeah, he was actually paying his $400,000 salary to certain charities. But what he fucking didn't tell you is that more than whatever his salary was giving him for a year, he was spending in a fucking weekend when he went to play golf. Yeah, you didn't hear that shit, right? So, so is it altruistic or you're fucking stupid to believe that fucking line? Well, it's the latter. You're fucking stupid if you think that he was just doing that for the goodness of his heart. He was making a lot more fucking money than $400,000. Yeah, you understand? So is that drop in the bucket what he was giving while he was fucking getting an entire fucking swimming pool full of money that was coming to himself. Something that was actually supposed to be illegal because of the Monuments Clause from a whole bunch of other safeguards that were supposed to happening. So like putting stuff in a blind trust, but no, his kids were actually running the businesses even though there were conflicts of interest. So is that gullibility? Yes, it's gullibility. Yeah, you didn't actually pay attention. Why? Because Trump is my guy. Oh, he's my guy. So if he's my guy, yeah, it's fine. If Biden would have done the same thing, oh no, I want to know what the fuck is going on with the Hunter's laptop. Yes, yeah, fucking the Burisma. Yeah, I want to know that shit. Yeah, but I don't want to know about Jared Kushner. What he made fucking all those billions of dollars with the Saudis when he was in a government position. No, we don't talk about that. Yeah, no. Oh, I don't want to hear about that. So think a little bit about that just for a moment, okay? Are you being gullible just because you like the guy? Or is it because the facts are on your side? Yes, because you like the guy. Yeah, that's what it is. And because you know that if you call out this guy, then that shit goes back into you. Because now it's not that you were just fucking stupid or that guy was stupid or he was unethical for doing that. That it shows that your values were the same as his. Just by condoning them. Now you know, oh yeah, that's how they get you. Because it becomes a battle inside your own two ears. And that's what people don't fucking realize. That's how it is so effective. But in any case, you know, the politicians, they're going to be offering you all kinds of shit, you know, and the promises are mostly going to be empty promises. You know, you just think about like New Year resolutions. Do you remember your fucking New Year resolutions? You know, you just write them down somewhere over there and then you fucking forget them until hopefully you have them saved until you see the next year, say like, oh shit, I haven't done any of this. Yeah, same thing. People are going to forget about some of those promises. Sounds interesting during the campaign. Oh yeah, sounds really good. Yeah, goes into a chant, you know, goes into a fucking bumper sticker, goes into a meme, goes into whatever the other thing there's happening. But is it really helping you out? No, it's not fucking helping you out. And many politicians are unscrupulous and they don't give a shit if you live or die. As long as they got their vote. That's all they need. You know, all these authoritarians that actually have gotten into power legally, they only care about the vote until they get the vote. After that, they don't give a shit. You're done. You're disposable. You have expired your usefulness unless you're one of those still really dumb people with that toxic masculinity or toxic whatever alpha personality that would be willing to take a retribution against somebody else who has nothing to do with whatever it's affecting you. Because the ones who are affecting you are those people that you gave them your devotion and they were laughing at you. They needed a scapegoat. Somebody else. They are not going to be pointing their fingers at themselves. They are going to be pointing, oh, no, don't look over here. When you have to be looking at this side, they're going to make you look at that side. Because that is the direction that is convenient for them. Not for you. And one of the things that you have to understand, you know, a lot of politicians, you know, they think that you're stupid as shit. And they're going to be selling you shit that it's sometimes incredibly expensive, limited edition or whatever the fuck, and you are the cash cow. They think that you are that fucking stupid and you're going to do that. And guess what? A lot of them, they're fucking stupid. Let me tell you just this thing, okay? Let's say that Biden was selling you a limited edition guitar for $10,000. It looks like a Les Paul, and it fucking has, like the slogan for or whatever, like slogan that they had for Obama. Yes, we can, or like a slogan for Kamala. Okay, we're not going back. Okay, just imagine that. Okay, so like a nice guitar, and they're charging you $10,000 for that. Would you go like, holy fuck, what the hell is that? Now, let's look at the guitar. Okay, so it looks like a Les Paul, but it's in reality kind of like an Epiphone type. And if you know anything about guitars, you know that they kind of like they're kind of like beginning level guitars. Even though you can have more high end, but the most expensive that'll set you back is going to be maybe $1,200 or give or take for a signed model, like a signature model. And now, just imagine, you're just going to say, okay, am I going to be buying one of those things? Because a good Gibson guitar, is going to set you back between like $2,000, like 25 grand, maybe like $3,000, depending on what it is. But now you have like an actual craftsmanship level instrument. There's a reason why an Epiphone and a Gibson, they have a lot of different price points. It's not just the finish, it's not just the electronics, there's a whole bunch of other things. Okay. So let's say that Biden was selling you a $10,000 guitar that you could actually even create by yourself for maybe $600, even if you fucking, like paint that whole thing. Would you be going and say like, what the fuck, man? That is absolutely insane. What kind of fucking grift is that? Well, in reality, that's what Trump is selling now. He's selling limited edition guitars, and they are, kind of like an Epiphone. So if you see that, you go like, okay. So something that it probably would be like, if they can sell it for $500, like something similar, then it's probably not going to be costing them more than maybe like a couple $100, even with a small margin. And he's charging you $10,000 for that? How fucking gullible do you have to be? How fucking stupid you have to be. Not just for buying the guitar, but just to think that that's even acceptable. Or they're not actually not respecting your intelligence. Just think about that. That's a huge red flag. And people don't really think about that. But the problem is that whatever is the way that you want to stop thinking about the world and just look the other way around, it comes back to you. So unless you know yourself, you'll never get out of the hole. You have to be able to look in the mirror and come to grips, say like, okay, did somebody fucking look at me in the face and realize that I was being fucking stupid because I was not paying attention? Let me start paying attention. Let me fix that. That takes fortitude of character, and that is going to be harder for a lot of people to do. And the reality is that your worst enemy is the person that's between your own ears. Okay. And that happens. Okay. A lot of times we don't want to actually hold somebody else accountable for what they fucked up because we don't want to look at ourselves. That probably I was also part of this thing. It is also my fuck up. Even if they fucked up, okay, you kind of fuck up in a way by proxy because you enable that person, especially if you give them your vote, especially if you allow them to gain that power because they don't give a shit about you. You think they do. And then you're going to have to come to realization that all those fucking libs, all those fucking rhinos, all those fucking whoever, is the other person that was telling you about that, they were fucking right. And you hate that shit. Not because you fucking even dislike now Trump. It's because now you know that you're going to have to dislike yourself because you call every one of those, you're a motherfucker, you're a fucking snowflake, you're a whatever, that you were actually coming with all these very creative insults that they were showing all over the fucking social media and in person and whatever, I've seen them all. Now you have to own up that, oh yeah, you were the fucking idiot. They were correct and you were incorrect. And that is terrifying because now you're going to be feeling like the whole fucking planet is crashing on you. Well, you need to realize that if you fucked up, own to that mistake. A whole bunch of ex-MAGAs, they actually did exactly that. And now, unless you want the USA to become a Russian province, not a Russian state, not a Russian republic, a Russian province, because a lot of people he's actually putting into these high positions, they happen to be repeating adversarial Russian talking points. And in case you were not paying attention, Russia has just threatened to fucking throw nuclear weapons. They just fucking launched long-range intercontinental ballistic missile into Ukraine. It didn't have a nuclear warhead, but it is a message to say, yeah, we can do it and we would do it. Now, they can actually just send that against another ally. Maybe if it comes, maybe Poland, they were actually talking about that because there's a US base in Poland. Now, if they do that, fucking World War III starts. And you voted for putting the person that is not actually talking truth to power to another regime that is saying, hey, I would be happy to vaporize the USA. You own that vote. You voted on that. Did you do your research? Probably you didn't, because you were just listening to the little fucking bubble of people that they were telling you what you wanted to hear, not what you needed to hear. And that's why I fucking do this podcast. But let me give you an example, okay? So let's say that if a person is going to be climbing Everest, okay? If you actually put a person in Everest, you get, for whatever reason, some sort of aircraft and just put them right on top of Everest without any preparation, you know what's going to happen to that person? He's going to fucking die because they haven't been acclimatized to do that. That's why whenever they climb, they have to go into these different camps. They have to acclimatize, get ready, like in order to climb all the way up there, because they need to get that experience. There's certain things that you just cannot get shortcuts, particularly when we're talking about all these cabinet appointments. They need to have that experience before they get into that job. This is not the kind of shit that you're going to have as on-the-job training. It doesn't work like that. That's why all the secretaries of defense before that, they were 4-star generals. Okay, in the officers course for the career paths, it goes from 1 to 10. Okay, so that means that we're going to get people who were on the 10 to make sure that they were actually having at least, even by osmosis, some fucking understanding of how the fucking military works. So if you put a junior officer, like the person that Trump has appointed or wants to be the Secretary of Defense, and he was an 04, okay, so 4 is a lot less than fucking 10. It's not even halfway there in the process. And yes, from going to 4 to 5, it's a huge process. And from 5 to 6, it's an even longer process. And from 6 to 7, it's even more and more and more and more and more demanding on what you're supposed to know and on all the experience that you need to have. So it's not something that you just can put that as a shortcut. So if you actually appoint somebody who doesn't actually understand all that process, you're only helping the enemy. You're only helping the adversary. You're only helping the person who's not in the United States of America. So if you're an American and you voted for Trump right now, his appointments, even if he doesn't fucking understand it, he is helping Russia. He is helping China. He is helping Iran. He's helping North Korea. He's helping all these other fucking countries that don't like the USA. That is what those appointments are doing. So unless you don't actually hold him accountable, who the fuck is going to hold him accountable to that? He already wants to hear your votes. He already has that. He can probably tell you how many ways you can go fuck yourself right now. And that is exactly what he's doing via his appointments. So for anybody who starts, insulting other people in social media, I want you to first, remember this. Before you fight with another person, look at yourself first in the mirror. If you don't have a lot of knowledge about something, then just shut the fuck up and try to listen. Okay, you're probably going to learn something. Same way, I wouldn't be a person who is entitled to say anything about, I don't know, like fucking football. I'm not a football player, so I'm not going to be saying, hey, I want to be a fucking quarterback. Yeah, it's not going to happen, okay? If I don't really fucking have that much love for the game and I don't have the preparation that a quarterback is going to happen, I'm not going to be going to say like, yeah, I want to be the quarterback. Well, the same things for any of these fucking positions, okay? Same thing. You need to fucking earn that position. Just like you wouldn't fucking put like a fucking shrimpy guy as the linebacker. It's like, or some other person that is going to be fucking tackling a dude that is 300 pounds. You're not probably going to put a little guy, okay? You're going to be making sure that you understand at least what kind of position you're having, okay? So what is the athletic ability, okay? Even if they're shrimpy, but can they actually prove that they can do that job? Does that make sense? So there has to be some understanding of what's going on there. So anyway, this is nothing new. I've been talking about this thing for a long time in my book, Authoritarianism, Propaganda, the Puppet Master Tools, and Woke and Proud, the Charlatans' Inconvenience. They're both non-fiction, historical analysis of how this propaganda situation has been going throughout history and how we can hopefully prevent it. And of course, a lot of this information I've been placing for free for you to see it. And my website is www.halflifecrisis.com. You just go to the article section and you can see this timeline. So you can see, how we found ourselves to the point that we are here. or go to www.infoincontext.com so you can understand what are those flashpoints, those wedge issues, and those red flags that exist in order for us to prevent an authoritarian from taking over our lives. Because they're going to do it. Whether you prepare for that storm or not, that's exactly what's going to happen, okay? So for our next topic, and that is going to be my season finale for these episodes, is the media and politicians. What does your loyalty lies? Who are you loyal to? That's what I want to ask the media and the politicians who are becoming a rubber stamp. Who are you loyal to? To the United States of America or to an adversarial regime? Because if you cannot trust your own country to set safeguards, then another country is directing your life. So there's always going to be swindlers, and I've spoken before about insider threats. There's an insider threat that is witting, that they know that they are sabotaging their team, and there's the unwitting insider threat that they are doing exactly the same thing, but they're too stupid to realize it. And chances are that we have a huge amount of both insider and insider threats who are witting and unwitting. Now the question is, which one is which? Now I can tell which one is which really just by seeing how they act. But now the other question is, if you voted for them, are you going to hold them accountable? Are you going to speak out and say, hey, that is not what my vote was for. My vote was for America, not for some other adversarial country to be ruling America by proxy, by putting certain puppet figures that are going to destroy a country from the inside out. And by the way, yeah, that's what they were doing. That is exactly their game. They planted a whole bunch of people to give you certain lies, make you feel really angry about not wanting to listen to what the other side was saying. So you would just listen to one person and to whatever that ecosystem and that echo chamber was, and then forget everything about the rest of the world. So the only way we can survive for the next 4 years is if we hold these people accountable right now. Coming January, you're not going to have that fucking chance. Yeah, you think that you can? Yeah, fucking good luck. Even if that is going to be the case, it's going to be very, 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 very fucking hard. And before you know it, you just have snared the next few generations into the same fucking problem. Okay, so they're all snared in the same fucking place. You know, they're all tied up, and that was your decision on your watch. On your watch, you made that decision. Now, can you make the decision to hold them accountable before they create any more damage? Because the damage is already done, and it's going to just get worse. This ship got struck and is sinking and is on fire really fast. Are we going to tow it to harbor so when it sinks at least we can refloat it? Or we're going to let it sink here in the middle of the ocean where it's actually sinking fast? And by the way, that is exactly what happened in other countries already. So don't take your freedom for granted. And I'm going to say that again. Don't take your freedom for granted. Because you don't know what you're about to lose. In a lot of other countries, they found out that way too late. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk on the next episode.